Alright, I got the housing cleaned up. Good as I can get it without actually getting inside and sandblasting it, but I don't want to do that. So, pretty much ready to install in the pick 'em up truck. Release set in here on the spring pads. I'm not going to weld the housing to the pads until I get it sitting on the ground with the engine and the transmission and the box on it and all the stuff I want to do. That way I can get the drive line angles right. I got the makings of a rear end. Not exactly where it's going to sit at in there. Rear end's getting pretty close to the, not the rear end, but the pad's getting pretty close to the factory end of that. I really need to go get my traction bars so I can put them up underneath, kind of snug that down with some U-bolts. I can grab my traction bars so I can fasten down the housing and the pickup. I bought these off at Craigslist a couple years ago. They say he's running them on an S-10 Blazer, so they should work on here. Kind of held them up there and they look like they'll work. So need to find the factory U-bolts. Stick those in there and hold them up in there for now. Yeah, I was working on getting the traction bars installed. With this side on, the passenger side. I don't know if this is the correct height of a block that I'm going to use. It's just what I had because the stock U-bolts will not work. For one thing, 7.5 rear end housing is what, 2.5 inch tube, and this is 3 inch tube, so it wouldn't even go around there. And also, you can kind of see it there. Holes in the traction bar were made for the S-10 U-bolts. I had to notch the traction bar so the 3 inch U-bolts would work in it. You can see right there, I had to notch them to work. That side's on. I still need to do this side, and I think I'm gonna have to move these welders because there ain't no room here. The driver's side traction bar on. Didn't have too much of a problem. The only problem that I always have when I put U-bolts and leaf springs, I always try to spread out. So I usually take some C-clamps and clamp around them up high, and then squeeze them in, they'll go right on. But if I end up using these U-bolts with that spacer, I'd like to really put a cast iron spacer in there, or steel. That way the pin doesn't try to break off. Let's cut these a little bit shorter. My deep well socket's getting up here. It's barely catching the nuts, but that should work for now. Next thing to do is install the center section. Somebody stripped the threads out on it. I don't know what the problem was. It was going up and down on here, sliding in and out on that. What you're supposed to do when you stick these on is you're supposed to double nut them. You're supposed to put a nut on the bottom side and one on the top side and adjust that to the height you want. Most people don't do that. That's how you're supposed to do it. This one looks alright. I was doing some final cleaning on the housing. And we are ready to install the nodular center section. The nodular is in. I just need to do the axles. You can see her in there. See if you can count the splines. Okay, I got the collars pressed on. The retaining collars out there. Basically same procedure as pressing the bearing on. I didn't show it, so you get the idea. If you watched earlier, I pressed the bearings on. Anyways, you need to stick the studs in because they're screw-in style before you install the axle, because there's no way you can get them in there with the axle in. See my little setup here, so don't screw the threads. I've slipped an old piece of heater hose over it and stuck this gigantic tire iron in there to hold it. And put some Loctite on the threads. Add some of this stuff around. Torqued them to 85 foot-pounds, that's what they recommend. Well, both axles are in. They look good. I'll have to set the camber on them a little bit here, a little bit angled out. Get them up like that, that'd be about right. Well, this side axle is in, it's bolted in. Had to take the brakes off so I could get to those nuts because the brakes are in the way and there is no access hole in the axle like the factory puts in it. Who knows if the wheel cylinders are any good too? They didn't seem to be leaking, I guess. So we'll try them. Maybe get the bleeder loose on the back side. On to the other side, I guess. Okay, got the brakes on, got the drums on. I got my slick sitting on there. Had to go hunt the lug nuts for those rims. Been a while since I used those wheels, but I did find the lug nuts. They're soaking right now. They got a little rusty. They're still usable. That's what it looks like from the rear. Both slicks on it. It's kind of dark in here, but looks good. Really, the rear end needs to go that way here. They say it's not welded in, it's just kind of strapped down or bolted down so I can roll the chassis around, because the next thing is the engine and trans. I need to let it down and roll it out the door. I'll probably grind on the welds outside, which I know it's dark, it's hard to see, but I can bring the cherry picker in and pull the motor and tranny out, and then it's still rollable out here. And then I can bring the 406 in, the tranny, get them ready to go in and make the motor bounce and all that good stuff. I'll pull the wheel off, show you the drum. I guess I could do that right now, just sitting on there. Anyways, there's the drum. Had to slot the holes to fit the 4 3/4 bolt pattern, because these are factory 4 1/2 forward bolt pattern. But they're on there and they're good. Probably could use some new brake shoes, but I'm not worried about that right now. That's later. Alright, the truck is on the ground now, sitting on the wheels. The sleeks. Here's a little bit better view of it. Got all this extra stuff on here. There you can see the 9 inches in it. Traction bars are on. Only thing I do not like about them is they might need to be redone. They're hitting right there. That bottom leaf's right against it. I think there should be a little bit of gap underneath there, so apparently they might have them angled up just a hair too much. I have to fix that. More chopping and welding. But right now, I'm not worried about it. At least it's sitting on the ground and it's sitting level. When I first let it down, it was sitting this way. I mean, that's not good. And I got measuring. I was looking at the front. Actually, this tire was low. So I pumped it up the same as the tire it was on the driver's side, which is actually that tire. And it was still sitting crooked, and I got a measuring, and this side up here, and the A-arm to the floor was 9 inches, and that side was 8 inches. Like, what the heck? I think, well, this tire, or actually this tire, is a 215/75. Well, on the other side was the same as this, is a 205 or 215/70. So I grabbed that tire, stuck on it, pumped them up the same, and now it sits level. They both measure 8 inches from the arm to the floor. Lifted the S-10 up. Get a better look at the rear end.